The Virginian is an American Western television series starring James Drury and Doug McClure which aired on NBC from 1962 to 1971 for a total of 249 episodes. It was a spin-off from a 1958 summer series called Decision. Filmed in color, The Virginian became television's first 90-minute Western series. Immensely successful, it ran for 9 seasons, television's third longest-running Western, behind Bonanza at 14 seasons and 430 episodes, and Gunsmoke at 20 seasons and 635 episodes. Production. When Review Productions' popular hour-long series Wagon Train moved from the NBC network to ABC, The Virginian was proposed to replace it. From the beginning the series was filmed in color on 35mm film. Synopsis. Seasons 1 through 8 set in the late 19th century, and loosely based on the 1902 novel by Owen Wister. The series revolved around the tough foreman of the Shiloh Ranch, played by James Drury. He and his top-hand Trampus were the only characters to remain with the show for the entire run. As in the book, the foreman went only by the name of The Virginian. The Virginian's real name was never revealed in the 9 years the show was on the air. The series was set in Medicine Bow, Wyoming. Various references in the first season indicate that setting is about 1898. In Episode 5, The Brazen Bell, guest star George C. Scott quotes from Oscar Wilde's The Ballad of Reading Gaol, which was first published in 1898. In Episode 7, Riff Raff, several of the main characters joined Theodore Roosevelt's Rough Riders, the volunteer cavalry unit formed in 1898, and in Episode 11, The Devil's Children, the grave marker for one of the characters that dies in the episode states 1898 as the year of death. The series circled around the foreman's quest to maintain an orderly lifestyle at Shiloh. The ranch was named after the two-day American Civil War Battle of Shiloh, Tennessee. The Virginian's white Appaloosa was named Jody, and Trampus' buckskin horse was named Buck. As the show progressed, Trampus became the more developed of the characters, and it continues to be the role for which actor Doug McClure was best known. There were several cast changes throughout the program's run. In the first, second and third seasons, the owner of the ranch was Judge Garth. His daughter Betsy lived at the ranch with him, and had a sister relationship with the ranch hands. Ranch hand Steve Hill joined in episode storylines. Randy Boone joined the show in the second season as a youthful ranch hand who played guitar and sang duets with Betsy. In the episode First to Thine Own Self, Boone's character sings "I'm so lonesome I could cry." This is odd in that the series was set in the 1890s, but the song was written by Hank Williams in 1949. In the third season, CLU Gulager was added to the show as the restless deputy Emmett Riker. After executive producer Frank Price was replaced by Norman MacDonnell at the end of Season 3, Season 4 became a troublesome time. When Roberta Shaw left the cast, MacDonnell added a new leading woman, Diane Rota, who played Jennifer, the judge's niece. When Lee J. Cobb also left the show, John Dana was brought in as the new owner, Morgan Starr. His demanding presence and tough demeanor did not fit well with the show, nor did fans like his character. Frank Price was brought back on board for Season 5 to straighten out the series. He replaced the characters of Randy, Morgan Starr and Jennifer with a few actors who brought back the family atmosphere to the show. John Granger became the new owner. Elizabeth Granger was John Granger's granddaughter. Her brother Stacy rounded out this new cast. Although Price left again, the series continued smoothly in the pattern that he set. In Season 6, Clay Granger took over ownership after his brother's apparent departure on business. The sixth season also added Holly Granger as the wife of Clay. Season 7 saw the entrance of David Sutton, played by David Hartman. However, Sutton was replaced in Season 8 with a younger hand, Jim Horn. Season 9. In Season 9, the name of the program was changed to The Men from Shiloh and the look of the series was completely redesigned. Ownership was changed once more, and Colonel Alan Mackenzie took over. Granger said of his character, "They had some idea of Carl Mackenzie against the West. I wanted no part of that. Englishmen were running cattle here from the beginning. The English have this thing for land, for animals and crops. I said this old cock is out of India and the colonies. He can take the American West on his own terms." In several countries, including the United Kingdom, the show went under the extended title The Virginian Men from Shiloh. The opening theme song was changed to a new one, composed by Ennio Morricone, and the look of the show was changed, reflecting a style similar to spaghetti westerns, which were very popular at the time. The hats worn featured much broader brims and higher crowns. The clothing was also jauntier and more imaginative. These changes brought a better ranking in the top 30 primetime shows. After the previous year saw the show slip out of the top 30 rankings for the first time ever, the final season operated on a rotating lead actor basis of the 4 stars, with normally just one lead appearing each week. 2 of the 4 lead actors never appeared together in the last season. The ranch itself played a very nominal part in Season 9, with most scripts featuring the 4 stars away from the ranch. There seemed little that could save it, as the final season brought in several big guest stars to the remaining episodes. The studio and network were set on ending the series, as evidenced by rivals CBS and ABC making demographic moves away from rural-oriented shows. The final episode aired on March 24, 1971, ending the show's 9-season run. Name cast: The Virginian, played by James Drury. The Virginian was the tough foreman of the Shiloh Ranch. Based loosely on the character in the Owen Wister novel, he always stood his ground firmly. Respected by the citizens of Medicine Bow and the hands of the ranch, he was a prominent figure in Medicine Bow. In the series, the Virginian is the ranch foreman from the first episode. This way, the producers were able to establish a feeling that he had been there for a while, and thus keep a consistent storyline. In the book, however, the Virginian was the deputy foreman, and only became the foreman after a promotion from the judge. When making the show, the producers chose not to reveal the Virginian's real name, and little about his past was actually made known. This succeeded in making the Virginian an intriguing and mysterious character. The foreman worked under 5 ranch owners throughout the series: Judge Garth, Morgan Starr, John Granger, Clay Granger, and Carl Mackenzie. James Drury and Doug McClure were the only cast members to remain with the show for all 9 seasons. James Drury first played the Virginian on the July 6, 1958 episode of Decision. Judge Garth starting in Season 1. Lee J. Cobb succeeded in making Judge Garth a stern man with a soft side to his personality. The judge acted as a father figure to the Virginian. Respected by all the townspeople, as well as his employees, the judge was often looked to for matters to be settled. Lee J. Cobb left the series near the end of Season 4. In the episode Morgan Starr, it was stated that the judge had left Shiloh to become governor of Wyoming. Trampas, played by Doug McClure, the character of Trampas took on a completely different personality from the character in the novel. In Owen Wister's book, Trampas was a villain throughout the story and at the end was shot by the Virginian. However, in the TV series, the producers chose to make Trampas a fun-loving and rowdy character, Doug McClure fitting the part perfectly. Trampas, a sandy-haired, rowdy cowhand who eventually settled down on the ranch, was by far the most developed character in the series. Several episodes were made detailing his past. Doug McClure, as Trampas, added a touch of light comedy to the series to counterbalance the Virginian's serious manner. Steve Hill, played by Gary Clark. Steve was a good friend of both Trampas and the Virginian. He was constantly getting Trampas in and out of his usual scrapes. The on-screen chemistry that Gary Clark and Doug McClure possessed reflected their good friendship off-screen, and was loved by fans worldwide. Although he was with the show at the beginning, Gary Clark was being phased out of the show at the end of Season 2, but remained as a guest star for a few episodes in Season 3, before departing for good. Betsy Garth, played by Roberta Shaw, from Seasons 1 through 4, Betsy was the only daughter of Judge Garth. Early in the series, it was made clear that she was adopted, but nevertheless the judge treated her as his own. Betsy and the ranch hands had a sort of brother-sister relationship. Trampas and Steve had a particular soft spot for her, often jumping to protect her, and looking out for her well-being. At the start of the series, Betsy is said to be 15 years old. In a Season 4 episode, The Awakening, she married a minister, and moved to Pennsylvania, reflecting Roberta Shaw's departure from the show. Randy Benton, played by Randy Boone, from Seasons 2 through 4, Randy was a young ranch hand who played guitar and sang. He came into the show as Steve Hill was being phased out as a regular cast member during Season 2. Before the new Granger family was brought in for Season 5, his character was discontinued. Deputy Sheriff Emmett Riker. At the beginning of Season 3, a new cast regular was introduced. CLU Gulaga played the restless Deputy Emmett Riker. Riker was the first cast regular not to live on Shiloh. Once a hired gun, Riker decided to settle in Medicine Bow before he took his former profession too far. CLU Gulaga remained with the show for 4 seasons, leaving briefly at the beginning of Season 5, then returning for the rest of Season 5 before leaving for good toward the end of Season 6. Morgenstern. Halfway through Season 4, Morgenstern was brought in to run the ranch for Judge Garth because of Garth's appointment as governor of Wyoming. John Dana played a tough and demanding man, who was hard to become friends with, as the Virginian and Trampas soon found out. Fans disliked Dana's character, and he left the show at the end of the season. Jennifer Summers. After Roberta Shaw left the show, Diane Rota was brought in as the judge's niece. At the end of Season 4, along with Boone and Dana, she left, making room for the new owners. John Granger. At the beginning of Season 5, with Judge Garth, Betsy and Jennifer gone, a new character was brought in to run Shiloh. Charles Bickford played a stern but loving grandfather to his 2 grandchildren, Stacy and Elizabeth. Although the Virginian and Misty Granger never quite had the father-son relationship that the Virginian and Judge Garth had, they got along well. Charles Bickford's death on the 9th of November 1967 was a shock to the cast. He was replaced by John McIntyre as his brother Clay Granger. After the death of Charles Bickford, John McIntyre was hired as his brother, Liz and Stacy's great-uncle. Clay had a wife, Holly, and was the ranch owner for Seasons 5 through 8. McIntyre had earlier taken over the lead role in Wagon Train upon the death of Ward Bond, assuming the role of the new wagon master. In Season 9, the Virginian was revamped, and McIntyre, along with Jeanette Nolan, Sarah Lane, David Hartman, and Tim Matheson, left the show. Stacy Granger, played by Don Quine. Stacy Granger, the grandson of John Granger, lived at Shiloh, beginning in Season 5. He worked alongside Trampas, and the two become good friends. Stacy's sister Elizabeth looked up to him as a big brother, and he filled the role more than competently. Quine's 2 seasons on the Virginian were the only ones that finished in the Nielsen rating top 15 year-end rankings. Elizabeth Granger. Stacy's younger sister Elizabeth was the granddaughter of John Granger, starting in Season 5. Trampas, the Virginian, and Stacy all look out for her well-being. Elizabeth was cast as a teenage girl enjoying her life on the frontier. She loved horses, riding the range, and going to the ever-present Saturday night dances. Sarah Lane left the series in Season 8. James Drury as the Virginian. Lee J. Cobb as Judge Garth. Doug McClure as Trampas. Gary Clark as Steve Hill. Roberta Shaw as Betsy Garth. Charles Bickford as John Granger. Stacy and Elizabeth Granger with their grandfather. Jeanette Nolan as Clay Granger's wife, Holly. Complete cast: James Drury and Doug McClure were the only performers who appeared in all 9 seasons of the series. James Drury as the Virginian, Doug McClure as Trampas, Lee J. Cobb as Judge Henry Garth, Gary Clark as Steve Hill, Roberta Shaw as Betsy Garth, Pippa Scott as Molly Wood, Ross Elliott as Sheriff Abbott, Frank Sully as Bartender Danny, John Bryant as Dr. Spaulding, Randy Boone as Randy Benton, Harper Flaherty as Harper, L.Q. Jones as Andy Belden, C.L.U. Gulager as Deputy Riker, Diane Rota as Jennifer, Garth's niece, John Dana as Morgan Starr, Harlan Ward as Sheriff Brannan, Charles Bickford as John Granger, Don Quine as Stacy Granger, Sarah Lane as Elizabeth Granger, John McIntyre as Clay Granger, Jeanette Nolan as Holly Granger, David Hartman as Dave Sutton, Tim Matheson as Jim Horn, Stuart Granger as Carl Mackenzie, Lee Majors as Roy Tate, Stuart Nisbet as Bartender Bart, Jean Pelican as Gene. Broadcast history: The Virginian aired Wednesday at 7:30 to 9 p.m. on NBC for its entire run. Episodes